Hi friends, and welcome to the Cozy Collab. I am so glad you're here. Tonight, I'm sharing a simple, relaxing cottage-style project using one of my laser cut boxes. And even though the footage is sped up, this was truly a peaceful, cozy evening of creating for me. Now, I am going to say sorry for my voice. I have a cold, which if you've been on my YouTube channel lately, you'll hear me. So I just want to say sorry for that. This little video is a short version of the project. I've trimmed it down so you could see the transformation in a short time so you can move on and enjoy the collaboration. But I would like to invite you, if you wish to watch the longer, slower version of me creating it, you are more than welcome to head over to my channel. I plan on posting the full video in a couple of days. For this little box, I used an IOD Paint Inlay, a few layers of chalk paint, some waxes, and glaze to create this time-worn, soft cottage look. And I'll show you the process here, but it will be a fast-forward style. Before we begin, I want to thank the Cozy Collab and Serena for organizing this and bringing us all together tonight. So you will see me moving quickly on screen, but in real life, I took my time with each layer. My slow crafting style is one of my favorite ways to unwind, especially at the end of a long day. I often, when I'm creating, will take my time, walk away, decide where I'm going with it. Things change, things evolve. Sometimes I decide to totally switch up my project, but that's just all part of my enjoyment. And I feel that we really truly use all of our creative supplies when we just take our time. I begin by gluing the box together. Very simple, very easy. I use a Titebond Quick and Thick glue for this project. If you are new to my laser pieces, I do have some tips and tricks on certain ones that might working with MDF. So again, it's just this box is very easy to put together. My thought for this project was to create something to hold junk journaling tags. You could use it for so many things, and I will go into more ideas with this. This is definitely a project that would be fun to create for Christmas gifts this year. Fill it with pretty teas or cookies or candies. You could do stationery boxes and create homemade cards or tags. You could set this up for Christmas time. So when you're at your gift wrapping station, you could use this as a box to create little scenes for Christmas. I know I love using the miniature trees and the little mini houses that are fun to create. This is a great box that you could use for that. And then obviously the possibilities of decorating this is absolutely endless. In my head, I had started out thinking of what I was going to do, and I didn't finish it exactly the way because I was trying to get this video done in a little bit of a faster timeline, but you could so easily just take this to such unique, beautiful layers and levels. Once the box is all glued and dried, you can then come in and paint it. Now, I am going to paint my inside tonight, but in the past, I have decoupaged. I have laid them flat before gluing, painted and stamped, and then glued them together so the inside is decorated. You could leave it plain if you want. You could stain it. You could do whatever you want with this. So I painted the inside a very soft vintage color. It is a basic Chalk Paint by Miss Lillian's. You could even, if you know, another thing that would be cute, I'm sitting here thinking, is how darling it would be to line with fabric. So there really is some really neat possibilities with this. And I do have a variety of sizes. Just a little bit about me, for those that don't know, I work by myself for every aspect of Steel Roots Market, from designing, from creating, from the back ends of the shop, owning the shop, doing the orders, all of it. And so I only can release limited quantities because of my time frame of being able to cut these pieces. So just get on my email list and you'll be able to see things. And as I roll out new projects or things that are being discontinued or put on hold for different seasons. So again, these boxes are so incredibly versatile. You could use them for the tags, journaling bits, like if your scraps and your trims that you want to use. You could put ribbons in there. You could do ribbon tags, so to organize your ribbons. You could make tiny things, but it's just a way to make it feel cozy, creative, and just so inspiring. Make your place just so beautiful. So I use these boxes all season long. You could certainly make them into holidays. I have stenciled on them and made them look like vintage totes, like the old cheese crates and different things that you used to be able to vintage thrift. So, and I have a lot more ideas to share. So I invite you to head over to my channel and get on, subscribe. Decoupage, botanical cottage visions, just all kinds of things. Once that box is dried from painting the inside, I move on to the outside color. This is where you can get so creative. You could use your chippies, you could use milk paint, you could use your crackles, there's just so many possibilities. I decide on doing a dark shade of chalk paint on the bottom, and then I decide to go over that with some chippy effect product. It is by Maja Memories. Unfortunately, I am no longer carrying that inventory. There may be one or two at the time of this video left. It will last you forever. I absolutely love it, and I am insisting on using mine up before I open my replacement brands. I will be having like the Pentart line, and I also carry Miss Lillian's Crackle. But Pentart has a bunch of different mediums of, for your crackles and distressing. But this one, my Maja Memories, just to give a little bit of, it's from overseas. So obviously it's just not feasible for me to continue to carry. And so it is discounted in my shop, all the Maja Memory lines. Often I use them in my videos to create brocante and vintage surfaces. Again, I do have replacement line coming in, but if you want those, they are 50% off in my shop. And once they are gone, I will not be replacing them. While I let those items dry, I pull out my paint inlay. It was a hard decision, extremely hard decision on what to do for this fun little cozy collab video. And this little piece is for me. So I decided to pull out a paint inlay by IOD, and I went with the Petite Fleur Red. Now, if for those that are unfamiliar with IOD and paint inlays, a lot of little techniques and learning curves that you can do, but they're so much fun. The style that I love to use them for, they have my heart. I went with this red. It's an absolutely gorgeous paint inlay. And another little thing I want to mention for those that don't know, all of IOD's paint inlays are in limited edition. So once they sell out of the warehouse, we are no longer able to get them. So one of these, this comes in a very pretty pink and this red. One of them, I believe, is sold out. Now, I might have one in stock in my shop. I'm not sure. Always feel free to message me if you can't find something of any of my product lines, and I will do my best to try and figure out if I can get that for you. But you can browse all the products right over on my website. If you would like to try making one of these items and use any of the supplies, I will have both the box in a couple of different sizes in my shop, a lot of surfaces, especially as Christmas is approaching. I have more drops coming. And as a thank you to everyone watching the Cozy Collab, I added a special discount code in the description. So you can grab that and use that over in my shop. And that's a thank you for watching the Cozy Collab with us. So just to give a very quick rundown, the IOD Paint Inlay, I take my time, try to figure out what design I want to use. As you can see there quickly, they are just stunning, beautiful. Oh, I love them. So vintage and cottage feeling. I decide what I'm doing, and more of the details, again, are over on the web, on the longer video. I'm trying to keep this nice and short for the collab. But to apply a paint inlay, for those that do not know, you will take this paint inlay and apply it into a medium, such as chalk paint, is which I'm doing tonight. There are other ways that you can apply them, such as a clear coat or different things. And there is a wealth of information and practices of different creative makers that do these. They're just so much fun, and they just give a beautiful image. And you also, another tip before I forget, you can reuse them sometimes. You can get several uses. Obviously, each application will get more faded, more vintage looking, more rustic, but if you love that style, it is a definite must to try and play with. So once that chippy product was dry, I came in with my antique white chalk paint by Miss Lillian's and applied a nice thick coat. Now, traditionally, I apply 2 coats, and you will see in the other video me explain a little bit more. This does give a very rustic image, and as you saw in the finished product, but the finished piece. But typically, I let it dry and then come in and give another coat, and then put another final coat, a top coat on lightly, and apply my paint inlay. This one I didn't. I have that chippy, I have the dark blue, the chippy glaze. Then I applied 1 coat of the antique white chalk paint, and I then go ahead and mist that paint inlay and place it right into that wet chalk paint. And then you lightly press it down, and then you have to let it sit and dry. And this is, in my opinion, a very important step. I was a little rushed doing this, but definitely if you're doing these at home, let it sit and completely dry. And in past, for pieces like this that are like little decor pieces and I want them to be shabby and vintage, I will use a blow dryer to speed up that process. Now, if you're doing something a little bit larger, more, you want it more, you really want that image in there, like a piece of furniture or a hutch or something special like that, you're going to take your time and do this and let it dry completely. Once you apply the paint inlay into the wet paint, I take a damp cloth, and I make sure that it's pressed evenly down into that chalk paint. Go around and place all the images around the box. You can cut these, which you will see me do later in the video. You just put them in and let them dry. Once I get to the final end of the box, I had in my head that I wanted to use a mold casting out of the Victoriana mold from IOD, that little label. But I also share how originally I was going to use some of those pieces around the edge and to top it off. Again, you could add little feet to the bottom of this box and have it raised up. You could add your molds along the top. You could add molds around the bottom. You could cover the whole thing in molds. There's the beautiful labels you could add. So many possibilities. So I go ahead and do a quick casting of this with IOD clay and get that all prepped while the box is drying. So I decide to go ahead and cut the inlay apart and apply it so that I would see a lot of it when I put that little square clay casting on as a label. And I went ahead and then completely let this finish to dry. When it is dry, to remove them, you take a water bottle and mist it really well. I rub it a little bit just to mist it and get the inlay completely wet. Then you are going to gently pull back that paint inlay to reveal the paint design right into it'll have transferred right into your project. For this particular project, I decided to apply antique white chalk paint right onto that casting before I glued it on, just so that it was one less step to do and I didn't risk getting paint onto my design. So also make sure you take those used transfer inlay pieces and save them right back onto the backer carrier sheet so that you can reuse them once you find another project. Now, this pulled off, again, this is where I said normally I do 2 coats. This gave a lot of, it pulled. Now, it could be because I didn't let it dry completely in between these steps, but whatever the reason being, I absolutely love the way it looks, and all I do is take my brush and stipple in some of the antique white paint, because I plan on using a sander and sanding it and distressing this, so it will make it look aged and vintage anyways. But just to take out some of the lines, you can come in with a little paintbrush, a little sponge, anything you have to light-handed come in and apply some of the paints back around. But the image itself transferred perfectly on every side. Every side, the paint inlay itself embedded beautifully into this chalk paint. Make sure you step away and let this piece completely dry. Paint inlays, they are paint, so you need to let them dry or you risk smudging and doing things. And another thing I will mention very quickly is if you go to seal these, it's best to use a spray sealer outside, like a name brand top coat can, aerosol can. I will often use my Pentart little mist, spray mist, or take the risk and gently, light-handedly brush on a clear coat on top if you need that on this project. But when you do that, you run the risk of reactivating those paint inlays. So it's just something I want to make sure and tip and let you know. I come in and do a quick sanding and give it a beautiful distress. I'm absolutely in love with the design and how it turned out. I think this would be so cute with some little wooden beads on the bottom to raise it up as a little riser tote. Come in, distress it. I do give it a little clear coat, nothing heavy-handed. And then I simply add some finishing touches with a variety of Pentart and miscellaneous glazes. I use antique glaze, burnt umber antique glaze by Miscellaneous on that little the casting. Around the edges, I use some gold, and then I do use an umber color to give it some vintage, a little bit more vintage look. But one thing I didn't mention in the beginning, it's in my longer video, is when you're using these laser pieces, a lot of times the burnt edge will come through the paint if you don't fully cover that paint or do steps prior, which I like. I let that work in my favor. So it already has a natural, up close, you can see it already has a natural distressing look. So that's just another little tip that you'll see in the other longer video. Thank you so much for joining me for this cozy collab, and thank you everyone for putting up with me with this nasty head cold. Again, this was just a quick look at this project, but if you would like to see the full real-time version with the layers, the details, and the cozy crafting moments, I'll have that video up very soon with some, it just kind of breaks everything down a little bit more, especially if you're new to IOD Paint Inlays. I also wanted to mention I created a free Maker's Holiday Altier wish list and planner page for you. It's linked below. It's a way to gather your creative ideas for the season. Downloading it's also the best way to stay connected through my email list. Don't forget to check your description for the Cozy Collab discount code for me at Steel Roots Market. And if you'd like to pick up one of those boxes to create your own version, I would love for you to share your project with me. Thank you again for being here. And I hope you all enjoy this. I can't wait to share more cozy, meaningful creativity with you throughout the season. Wishing you a warm and peaceful day.